Few things are without fault, and today let's discuss some of the faults that I find in my luxury designer bags. Hello, and the warmest of welcome to today's video. For those of you who haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Nick, fab to have you here. Those who have seen my face before, thank you so much for joining me again. Hope you enjoy my videos. I put out videos roughly 2 to 3 times a week on a range of different topics, anywhere from fashion, slightly more personal topics. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please do head down, hit subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. I love chatting with you all. I'm all about living life loud, and what that means to me is being your authentic self, being proud to be you, and just celebrating who you are. Celebrating yourself, and of course, celebrating others. So, let's have a quick chit chat about some of the flaws that I see in some of my luxury designer bags. And this is me by no means saying that they are bad pieces, that you shouldn't buy them. They are just words of caution of someone who owns this particular piece, things that I note. Now, what I am not going to say in this is if there is a mistake that I have made that maybe means the bag isn't fully working for me. So for example, I'm not going to sit here and say, I shouldn't have bought it in green, I should have bought it in purple. That isn't the fault of the bag. I am going to be talking about things that are part of the design of the bag. Also, if I bought it in a size that doesn't work for me. So if I'm saying, oh, it's a little bit too small for me, that again isn't the fault of the bag. I should have gone the next size up. So I'm also not going to be pulling those things out. These are, as the bag was designed to be, what's my interpretation of some of potentially the flaws. Now, each one probably has one key flaw that I'm going to share with you. These are all still bloody brilliant bags, I have to say. Fantastic, fantastic pieces. And I've not gone through my whole collection. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to share with you that I just thought would be interesting. And this isn't intended to be a particularly heavy video, so yeah, I'm not going to go too into the depths of it all. Right, let's kick things off here, which is a bag that I absolutely love and have always spoken about and always adored. So this is the Longchamp Les Pliages. This is the medium top handle. Now, my issue with this particular bag, and it's happened on multiple, and it happens on various parts of the Les Pliages range, is despite not using them a huge amount, they start to get corner wear. Depending on how you store them, the corners get a little bit sharp and they can start to wear through. It's just the nature of the fabric. Now, my understanding is that Longchamp can repair that for you if you ask them to. I haven't done that with any of mine, but it can sometimes happen where the corners start to wear through. Hasn't really happened on mine. How can you combat that? You just have to sort of take the sharpness of the corner and almost turn the corner in, so that it's not sharp any longer. So you can see there how I've turned the corner in and I've sort of rounded the corner out. That's just what you need to do there. But it's just something to be conscious of, as I see a lot of people mentioning that their Les Pliages have corners that have worn through. I see a lot of people wearing Les Pliages with worn through corners. So it's clearly a thing. And I know corner wear is a big thing on all bags, not just the Les Pliages. But it's that sharpness of the nylon that I think helps to wear it through. So just be a little bit aware of that. So Les Pliages. Next up, let's do this one. And this is the Mulberry Alexa. Now, the issue that I have with the Mulberry Alexa is no different really to the issue that many others have with the Mulberry Alexa. These here, I don't even know what these are called, these like latches. As cool as they are to look at, they are such a pain because they are so difficult when you're using this bag, even not using it and trying to do it correctly. It's so difficult to line up in the magnets. It's like you're on some sort of game show trying to use this. It is genuinely like a game show task. They should probably put this in on one of those game shows and say, right, how quickly can you match the magnets on the Alexa? Because trust me, you would get all manner of attempts, and the time frames would be varied, okay, that it would take people. So that is probably the biggest pain here, particularly as this style of bag, it's that crossbody satchel almost style. It's intended to sit crossbody, grab and go, easy to work with. The postman's lock I really like, and I find that really easy, but when you're unhooking that, pulling that through, pulling these up, they're firm magnets, which is great because that keeps them in place nicely, but then trying to do that in reverse, you can very easily relock it, but I end up just leaving it like that most of the time because I just can't be bothered to relock it. So yeah, the Mulberry Alexa, not my most used, I've chronicled that, so not my most used, but definitely one that I am trying to use a little bit more because it is actually a really good bag, so, and I've got a really lovely version of it. I mean, look at that, isn't it gorgeous? So yeah, there's that one. Sticking with Mulberry, another absolute fave, and this is the Bayswater, and this is the Heritage Bayswater. Now, what could I possibly have to say that's negative about one of my favourite bags? Well, it is not as big as you would think. And it is beautifully designed. Yes, it's a capacious bag because it is a big bag, but for the dimensions of it, it's not as big as you would expect it to be. It does not fit as much as you would expect it to. You can make a couple of small adjustments because you have the, on the interior, you have, what's that called? A buckle that allows you to sort of open it out slightly, but it's not the most aesthetically pleasing way to wear the bag. So you lose the design in the pursuit of practicality, which isn't ideal. It's also a very heavy bag when it's full. So for the size, it gets very heavy. It doesn't fit as much as you might expect it to. There's another bag I'm going to show you later that is that has more capacity than this. So it's beautiful, it's classic. You can buy them in so many variations, it's well priced. There's so much to love about this bag, but the one thing that I would not allow yourself to fool yourself thinking is that it's the biggest bag you're ever going to own. For the proportions, for the dimensions, there are more practical bags out there on the market. So definitely something to just think about. It hasn't stopped me buying 6. So I still think they're brilliant bags. I've used them for work, I use them for day, I've used them for evening. You can, at a push, get them on your shoulder. But I think it's a very good bag. Just like I said, don't fool yourself into thinking it's going to be the most capacious thing you ever own. This is a very practical bag, but it does have a drawback. And it is the Aspinall of London, London Tote. Beautiful bag, so practical. It is a little bit bigger than the Bayswater, about 6 centimetres longer on the base. But actually the other dimensions aren't that dissimilar, but it is more practical just because of the style and the layout of it. The biggest drawback of this particular bag is the fact that it is completely open on the top. It is a large bag, and I know that something that would concern people is particularly wandering hands at the sides, or if it rains, this being absolutely drenched by the time you get to wherever you're needing to go. Now, I have used my London totes, for example, when I've been in London and I've been on the tube. Now, do you have to be a little bit more vigilant when you're in crowded spaces, etc.? Yes, but I think you should be vigilant anyway, regardless of what bag you're carrying, whether your wallet's in your pocket, your phone's in your top pocket. You should always be vigilant and always be aware of what's happening around you. So I haven't allowed that to stop me from using this bag in spaces that other people might say, I'm a little bit concerned about what could happen if I were to use it. However, I am always very cautious. The one thing I do to combat that is, particularly when it's raining, I do have a large raincoat for my bags that I can put over the top of this that basically covers everything that's not the handles. So when it's on the crook of your arm, it's basically completely covered. Somebody would have to really be working at it to try and get into this. And what I also do is I put anything that is that needs that extra bit of security, my iPad, a laptop, etc., I tend to put that in the zipped compartment here, and then it only tends to be things like my cosmetics case, my umbrella, etc., that are out in the open, my card holder. You just have to be aware of where you're going with the bag and what you're doing with it, but the fact that it is open is probably its biggest drawback. Now, I like that because I actually think design-wise, it looks really, really good. However, it is something that could put people off. When it rains, have I had it where water has got in the sides? Yes, I have had that when I've not had the raincoat with me. So again, you have to be aware of what's in the bag. Could it get damaged? So you just have to think these things through. But this is a superb, superb bag. Like pretty faultless as it all goes. And on a crisp day like it is today, where the sun is shining, it is crisp and cold, but there's not a rain cloud in the sky. This is a superb bag to be using. So yeah, that's probably its biggest drawback. Let's go here. And I also love this bag, and this is my Kenzo clutch. I used this last night. I went to watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show at the theatre last night. It was amazing. Love Rocky Horror anyway. It was fabulous. And I wore the sexiest sky-high faux crocodile boots. I will insert a photo. Oh, I barely ever wear those boots. And I thought, if you can't wear them to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where on earth can you wear those boots? So I wore those boots. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because I used this bag. So this is the Kenzo clutch. Now the issue with this bag, great bag, but a couple of things. Quality-wise, tarnishing on the zipper here. Not the best quality there. Oh, I've got a couple of threads that are pulling. Okay, never mind. The main issue though is it comes with this wristlet, which is super. Love it. Love it. Problem is, you can't rely on it because it will spontaneously unhook itself. And that often means that if you're carrying it, you know, let's just say you're carrying it like that and it decides that it's unhooked itself, you're going to be halfway down the road and your bag's back down there. So you still end up having to carry the bag anyway. So yeah, that's its biggest drawback. I never use it with this particular wristlet attachment because I have to carry the bag like a clutch regardless because I can't trust that the wristlet's going to hold. So I carry it like this anyway. But yeah, that's probably its biggest drawback. However, the capacity on this for a clutch, incredible. Love it. That was a really good buy. Tried this bag, and this is a fairly new acquisition. This is my Christian Louboutin Crafty Lou tote bag. Really fun, really playful, lightweight, easy to use. I left the insert from my Gucci in there. The zipped one didn't work out, so I'm looking for another zipped insert. But yeah, so what's the main issue with it? It's imbalanced, and I have spoken to you about this before, but basically, dependent on how you position the items in it, I think because it's so lightweight, it doesn't equalize itself, so it tips. So you'll be carrying it, and it'll just be tipped like this, and then you have to straighten out the items, but then of course you go into a shop, you take your wallet out, you put your wallet back in, it moves the weight distribution, and all of a sudden you're tipped, or you put it in the other side and all of a sudden you're tipped like that. And it's just a bit of a pain to carry like that, to be honest, especially as I do tend to carry it by hand. The reason I do that is the straps, although long enough to put on your shoulder, it's a little bit under the armpit. It's a bit of a pit pincher. So I would have probably preferred it to have a slightly longer strap drop, but given the fact that it doesn't, and we're working with what we've got, I would like to have maybe seen the balance of it slightly better. However, still great bag, but just something to consider because I'll catch myself walking around the shopping centre and realise my bag is completely lopsided, and it's not the chicest look for what is actually such a fun bag. It's not the chicest look. So maybe if you're going to carry this, just carry it empty and just be done with it. There you go. Another one very similar to the thought that I have on the Aspinall, and this is my Longchamp Rousseau tote. This is absolutely fantastic. I love this. Look at the colour. Look at the interior of this bag. It's stunning. So pleased that I bought this. Main issue with this particular bag, similar thing, although you can popper it in and put the clasp over the top, it is still a pretty open bag. So the only way that you can really combat that is by poppering it or by turning the sides in and just making the bag slightly smaller. So whereas something like a Neverfull has the option, if I'm not mistaken, of sort of cinching it, this you have to pop up in at the sides like that. Now, it's good that it's got that functionality, but of course if you're carrying lots and lots of items and you can't necessarily get away with losing that extra space that the wings provide, then you do just have to be a little bit aware of the fact that the bag might be slightly open in front and behind you. Again, used it in London, used it without issue. It's a great piece. I've used it on the tube. I've used it when I've been walking through busy places, big cities. So those are the places that people I think are most conscious at the moment of using their designer items. The logos people are worried about at the moment. You know, when I've used, for example, a bag like this, people have said to me, are you not worried? You just have to be careful, I think, and I just hope that something doesn't, you know, happen with it, and I just have to try and be as vigilant as I can, but I can't control other people, and that's the way I try to operate. Sad that you have to be so conscious, but you know, these are strange times that we live in for many reasons. But yeah, this again, it's just the openness of it that is such a benefit in some instances, such a drawback in others, but it is a superb bag. So yes, loving that, but could probably get away with a zip. I would say with the size of it, you could probably get away with a zip, but maybe that would stop you being able to do the turn in and stuff. I do have this one, which is a much more manageable size in that sense. Like this, you don't have to worry about in quite the same way, because it's not as open. When it's on your shoulder, it is nowhere near as open. When even on the crook of your arm, it's nowhere near as open. So if you are worried about a bag that's like this size, which I think would be like GM size, this I think is more MM size, which is possibly more comfortable in terms of security. But I love both, but I also love this humongous tote. I think it's brilliant. Okay, and last but by no means least, the bag that I've had for the least amount of time, I've been using non-stop, but there is definitely a drawback of it. And it is the Celine Phantom. I love this. I'm so pleased I have this. I think it is stunning. I think it is a fabulous, fabulous bag. It is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I've been loving it. And I can't believe it's taken me this long to get one. I'm now trying to stop myself from going and buying another one because, you know, that's what I do. I end up buying multiple, and then the problem is you stop using the first one, and actually would I use them both in the same way, or is it because I just have the one that I'm using it so much? So anyway, I'm not going to buy another. I'm sticking with this one. I think it's great, and I'm just going to accessorize it. How cute is this charm, by the way? From the range. And I changed over my Longchamp scarf, so which I think works really nicely too. Now, the biggest issue with this, it's what everyone says. It gets so dang heavy because it can fit so much in it. Where I was mentioning the Bayswater not being as big as it looks, this is a little bit deceptive. Because you have the wings and because you can tuck them in, it can become quite a small top handle. Now, I know a lot of people will probably scoff when I say that's a small top handle, but it can become a fairly small top handle. Put the wings out, all of a sudden you've got so much additional space. You can fit a big laptop in this, you can fit umbrellas, you can fit sunglasses, you can fit iPads, you can fit files. I carry a lot of stuff with me, and particularly for work, I carry a lot of items, is that correct? Yeah, I carry a lot of items with me for work, but this gets so heavy. Empty, it's a heavy bag. Put an organizer in it, put your stuff in it, put some charms and things on it. Suddenly this is a very heavy bag. Now, I am not saying anything about this bag that nobody has said before. This is not new information. I am concurring with what other individuals have said about the Celine Phantom. Do I still love it? Absolutely. Does a heavy bag bother me? What do you think? Look at my collection. Big bags, heavy bags, they do not bother me. I use them all the time, and I will continue to use them all the time. This is a fabulous, fabulous bag, but It is not for the faint-hearted. If you don't want to carry around a heavy bag, this is not for you. If you don't want to carry around a heavy bag, the London tote is not for you. The one benefit of this is the strap drop is much easier to get on your shoulder. Still a bit of a pit pincher, but it can go on your shoulder. The Bayswater in this heritage size, not really for you if you're not into a heavy bag. Or you have to think about the material. This in a fabric will be lighter. The Bayswater in a fabric is lighter. So you either have to think about the material or just decide these bags aren't for you. But yeah, it gets very, very heavy. Empty, it is heavy. And when I first took this into the office, one of my friends picked it up and she was like, oh my goodness, what on earth have you got in here? I was just like, my stuff, you know, cosmetics case, my laptop. You know, I think I'd taken my laptop out at that point and it was still crazily heavy. But you all know I carry a lot of stuff. So yes, this is a bit of a workout carrying this bag, but when it looks like this, do you really care? So there we have it, everyone. Those are my thoughts, some of the drawbacks of some of my fabulous bags. Still superb, superb pieces. What are some of the bags that you own that have a few drawbacks? A few things that maybe you hadn't considered or that you would note about them, that if you were recommending them to somebody else, you would want them to know prior to parting with their hard-earned money. Thank you so much as always for watching. I look forward to seeing my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye now. Mwah.